Hi, my name's Rob Scott from UC Today, bringing you the latest news and conversation from the unified communications and collaboration space. So today I'm joined by Jeff Smith at Zoom and Simon Tigre at Neat, and we're going to be discussing how you can adapt your meeting room environments to the new world of hybrid working. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks a lot, Rob.
Hey, so before we get started, how about we do a quick round of introductions? Jeff, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Jeff Smith. I'm head of Zoom Rooms. I lead our product team for the conference room and workspace area.
Thanks, Jeff. And Simon?
I'm Simon, and I am a CEO and one of the co-founders of Neat. And our mission is to deliver the best Zoom room experience that you can have. So we're making devices for Zoom rooms.
Great. Thanks for joining me today. So it's 2021. Light is at the end of the pandemic tunnel, but do we know what the office is going to be like yet, or is it still too early to tell? Jeff, would you like to say that one first?
Sure. I think we have a pretty clear indication that hybrid is going to be the new normal. There will be some people that are able to attend in person in offices and conference rooms, but there will almost always be someone that's remote. Some of that is because of permanent dispersion of the workforce, and some of that is because of the conditions on the ground in different regions. But for whatever reason, there will always be a need for remote communication.
Yeah, so Simon, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think that the office is going to be a different place. I mean, I think the office used to be a place where people came to work. I think a lot of people are saying now that I work best at home, but the office is going to be where I meet people. Right. And to Jeff's point, I think it's going to be all about inclusion, because in the old days, pre-pandemic, it feels like it's forever ago now. You could have meetings in the office with everybody there, and maybe the occasional person in a different office or at home or on the road. But now every meeting is going to have somebody out. Right. And it's going to be, that's the normal thing. Right. We've all been out for so long, and when people come back to the office, they want to meet each other, but they can't not include the people who are not in the office that day. So I think that's definitely going to change. And then I think at least from where I'm sitting, talking to a lot of customers, they're scrambling too, right, trying to figure out, what do I need to do with my office, what are their new requirements. They're asking us what we think. So I think a lot of people are trying to figure this out. But I think that some things are going to go back to normal, and some things will be forever changed. And I think that hybrid element that Jeff highlighted is here to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. We're certainly hearing that word hybrid a lot right now. Jeff, from your perspective, what do organizations need to consider when planning for that return to the office?
Well, I think it is definitely clear that the need for visual communication in that hybrid environment is critical, and that need is pervasive throughout the facility. So as people social distance or have to use their existing facilities in new ways and moderate the way that they use those facilities, there will be a need across that facility for communication wherever I am. Every conference room is going to need to have a reasonable setup so that people can walk in and use that space to communicate with people outside the facility. So just how pervasive the need is unprecedented.
Thanks, Jeff. And Simon, in terms of you're a hardware player. What are organizations going through right now, and what do they need to consider? Certainly from a hardware perspective.
Yeah, I think this really plays right to why we started Neat, because I mean, at the very simplest level, if you're alone, like the three of us are now, we can easily communicate using our laptops or the personal devices that we already have. And Zoom's done a great job making that work well with the Zoom meetings and all the features and all that great stuff. When we get back to the office and we're two or more people physically together, that's going to break down, right? You can't really huddle in front of a laptop. Suddenly you can't use headsets, right? So audio is going to be a challenge. You have microphones and speakers in the laptop, not really made for conferencing in a conference room. The camera's not going to capture everyone. You don't want to huddle together closely because you still want to keep your distance. So that's really what Neat is all about, right? Providing those devices that ensure that we bring that physical reality, right? When two or more people meet physically, they can still connect with the people who are virtual, right? And make sure that and that's why we talk about symmetry. We love to talk about symmetry because, in the old days, everybody was in the office. Now we've all been at home, and that's actually been pretty good because we've all had our own square in the gallery view, and it's been, in many ways, equalizing things. But as we get back, it's really important to make sure that people who are meeting each other in the office physically can connect with the people who are virtual, and that feels like a good experience. And that's where our devices come in. That's where we take care of the video, the audio quality, and all the other features that you need. But fundamentally, we really don't want people to be thinking about that. We want it to be invisible. They should be able to have their meetings in the office and be joined by their colleagues on Zoom, like they're used to, with Neat and Zoom.
Yeah, and I think what's important about that is there is value in us meeting face to face. We've shown that we can be productive when everyone's remote, but there is that additional value from meeting face to face. So how do we capture that and enable people to be their most productive, which is a combination of working face to face and with people that are remote? That's where we become our most productive. And that's the most difficult challenge in the industry is how do you create seamless, fluid communication, both audio and video, with people that are together physically and aren't. And that is the biggest challenge that we've had to face.
Well, that's a really nice segue into my next question. So we were obviously seeing a lot of buzz around hybrid working right now, and lots of innovation in the hardware space. So talk me through, Jeff, if you can, talk me through the Neat partnership from your perspective, and then we'll hear it from Simon, if that's okay. So how did it come together?
Sure. So the inception of the partnerships was a little before my time, but when I came on, it was already a fantastic and deep partnership where we had a common vision of creating a conference room environment that really accentuated the way that Zoom functions and that had the best experience possible. We looked at that holistically together, everywhere from how do you procure hardware to installation to setup to management to the experience for the end user once it's all set up. And that journey together was really important for Zoom customers, so that they could navigate the hardware world in a way that ran at the speed of Zoom.
Thanks, and Simon, and bring us up to speed a little bit because you've got some new innovations recently. So talk us through the partnership and also what you've recently announced.
Absolutely. I'd love to, Rob. I think, to Jeff's point, the reason Neat exists is because, there was a need to solve some of these challenges with the physical conference room, right? And, when I started working with the Zoom team and I learned more about Zoom and their success, things like it just works and it's so simple. And I could see the viral spread of this, right, that we've all seen. And this is not the case in the conference room, right? If you go back, a few years, everybody had dedicated, really expensive hardware in the conference room. When I say everybody, that was just a niche, just a few large companies. Then, with Zoom and other companies innovating on PC platforms, for the conference room, people started thinking, well, now conference room hardware is dead. But then the problem, of course, is that if you want to piece these things together, it's hard. As Jeff said, it's difficult to buy. What do I buy as a customer? A lot of customers now using video are new to video. They don't know what hardware to pick and what to buy, and they don't really care, right? They just want to have their meetings. And it got, it was complicated to set up, and it wasn't as reliable, right? So that's why Neat was founded, to really make sure that we could deliver together with Zoom that delightful experience that everybody's come to expect from Zoom, that everybody has on their laptops and personal devices, that we can also deliver that in the conference room. So we fixed those things, right? Simple products, easy to buy, easy to set up. A lot of people say that, but you need to experience it for yourself to see the difference. But I think the part that I'm most excited about is how we can just speed up innovation, right? I'm very impressed with how fast Zoom's been able to move on innovating on the software side of things, with the constraints they've had on using off-the-shelf components that weren't necessarily designed for conference rooms and for Zoom rooms. But what we can do together now, and that's what we're in the midst of now, is really to work together. We can come up with ideas on what we can do on the hardware side, components we can bring in, sensors, capabilities. We share that with Jeff and his team, and that enables them to bring out the software features much sooner, right? So we can work together, challenge each other, help each other. We can make those innovations in parallel, software and hardware together, so we can move much faster, and we can do much tighter innovation. So examples of that would be things like Zoom Smart Gallery, supported by Neat and Neat Symmetry, as I talked about. The concept that when you have multiple people in a conference room, instead of just giving an overview of them, reducing them to small talking heads, which is not really supporting what I talked about earlier, connecting people in the physical space with the virtual space. We can find those bodies and those people and those faces and bring them out and give them individual squares in the gallery view, right? So you would feel as connected to people in the physical conference room as people who are on their laptops, right? Really, really excited about that innovation, because this has been an age-old problem. When I started at Tandberg in 2005, it didn't take me long to realize that if I was in a conference room, people didn't see me. I was just a small talking head, right? So this is probably one of the biggest innovations. And this is an example of how we, with our hardware, fixed focus lenses and high resolution sensors and all the AI technology to find people, we send those, images to Zoom so they can arrange that, for the recipient. So that's one really, exciting innovation that we can do together. Another one, which has obviously been very, very, relevant for customers now, is Neat Sense, and the room sensor technology that we can offer, with Zoom. So, our Neat devices all have these sensors, right? And I think the part that customers have been particularly into are things like, air quality sensors. What's the temperature and humidity in that room? What about CO2 levels? We know that affects, the working environment and well-being of employees. But also things like people count. How many people are in the room? Are there too many people in the room, right? Are they crammed together? Are we using the room enough? What is the utilization? And putting this together with, the air quality levels. This is really important for customers now, right? As customers return to office, these are important things to take into consideration. How do we make sure that people can actually get their meetings done in a good way without jeopardizing, viral spread, right? Keeping their distance, not putting too many people into the room. So these are some examples of innovations that we're bringing to market together, right? Hardware innovations, that's brought to life in Zoom's, software and platforms.
That's really cool.
Rob, these are two really important problems that we're solving together. That ability to empower individuals in a conference room to connect with everyone in the meeting and get their work done, but also empowering IT with data so that they can make good decisions about facilities or about how they communicate with their employees. So these are, we could not do these things alone. Zoom can have a fantastic experience, but once you get into that conference room, there are limitations if we're using off-the-shelf hardware. So as we partner with Neat and bring out the features that they have in their hardware, be able to both to the IT group and to the end user, empower them with information. That's where we really shine.
Okay, yeah, it's really great to see. So, Simon, from your perspective, where are we heading, and what opportunities and challenges do you foresee going forward in the world of anywhere work and hybrid work, for that matter, and video-centric communication?
Well, I think that it's we're in very exciting times, and I feel like almost we're starting over again, or we're starting from scratch in a way. I've been in this industry since 2005, but it really feels like now we're really getting started. So I think some of the challenges were obviously we talked about some of the innovations that we're doing together with Zoom, right? That are important and relevant to our customers in terms of keeping their employees connected and safe and all that stuff. And obviously, from a Neat perspective, we're rounding out our portfolio as well, right? We launched, in October 2019 with Zoom. We've been shipping for just over a year, so we're a pretty young company, but we've already brought out, two products, right, with Neat Bar and Neat Board, and we've announced, three more products. So the Neat Bar Pro for the larger conference room, right? So we want to make sure that customers have an option from Neat with Zoom for every meeting space. But one thing that I got to be honest with you, I didn't expect us to get into this fast is actually personal devices. But I think that this has also been accelerated by the pandemic. So we've announced two personal devices as well. Neat Frame, which is a super sleek device for doing your Zoom meetings very simply and high quality, all that stuff, right? Easy to install and manage them. And then we have Neat One, which is an all-in-one web camera, if you will, with speakers, microphones to really give you everything you need, to connect to your computer to run your Zoom meetings, to give choice to customers, right? But I didn't really expect us to get into that. But I think that a lot of customers experience that, sure, the laptop works fine with headsets, but when you're on meetings all day long in a pandemic, that's not good enough either, right? So we've heard about Zoom fatigue, and I think that has nothing to do with Zoom. So I think it's an unfair term, but it's just tiring if the audio and video quality isn't up to par. I think audio is actually probably one of the most important things there, right? The ability to quickly interject and talk over each other. If you can't, it just makes it tiring to kind of be in that meeting and pay attention and try to contribute. So these are things that we're working on the personal devices, right? To make sure that customers don't have to use their laptop. They can get super high quality video in the right position, not a nose cam. Audio is pristine. You don't get the dog barking in the background. You don't get the kids playing, because we're removing that from the field of view. What you see is what you hear, right? So there's innovations here, both on the hardware and the software side, again, to make sure that people can really enjoy high quality video from a personal perspective as well.
And I think it's really important in supporting what Zoom has in taking Zoom experiences and high quality Zoom experiences wherever you are, wherever you're working. That can be the home, that can be in the office. The physical environments are changing in the way that we operate and communicate with each other. But what doesn't change is the need for absolute high quality in being able to facilitate that communication. If the technology doesn't work, if you're thinking about, oh, can they hear me? Can they see me? How do I look? That becomes the focus. It's a distraction. I can't get my work done. But when we can do this in any space that we're working, that's where we get our best productivity.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So you've just got to get the hardware and the software right, haven't you, to do this kind of thing. So, hey, Jeff and Simon, it's been super speaking to you today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us, Rob.
Really appreciate it.
And that's it from us. If you've enjoyed today's session, please subscribe to UC Today News and give this video a quick share on social. It's always appreciated. And if you're a UC fan and want to be part of the conversation, you can join us using the UC News hashtag on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. And our social links are in the description. So I'm Rob Scott from UC Today. Thanks for watching.